God is all about life, and we see that throughout the scriptures in many places. In this week's chapters for our Bible reading plan, we cover an interesting section in Numbers chapter 19 about the purification laws. In fact, verse 11 tells us that any person that comes in contact with the corpse of a dead body is defiled for 7 days. The concern about defilement in this passage seems to be both physical and spiritual. Many of these sections in the Hebrew Scriptures seem mysterious to us, even archaic, but let's see what relevance they have for our lives today. Long before modern medicine taught us about germs and disease, God gave us numerous helpful commands in His Word to contain the spread of contagious diseases. For instance, in Numbers chapter 19, verse 14, it gives specific instruction about someone who dies in a tent, in an enclosed space. And it says that any container or vessel within that space that isn't covered in some way is considered unclean. And yet, in a broad sense, the passage also tells us that anyone defiled by death brings contamination to the Lord's tabernacle. And that person must wash themselves on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. If someone refuses to go through the purification process, they're to be cut off from the community of Israel. Important consequences, and God takes this very seriously. It's likely that the Lord wanted to protect the people from physical contagious disease, while at the same time giving them an important lesson on the value of life. And even today in Judaism, preservation of life is one of the highest values that trumps almost all other laws. The Hebrew word for life is chai, and it's one of the most sacred matters to the Jewish people. In fact, it's the driving force between much of the innovation that fuels their technological developments today, especially in the medical realm, where they're constantly developing new ways to preserve the quality and length of life. Today, we understand so much more about health and hygiene, and we wash our hands frequently, and we avoid, without even thinking about it, situations that might bring contamination and disease to our physical bodies. But in the spiritual realm, many of us are less sensitized to the dangers around us. Proverbs 10:16 tells us that righteousness leads to life. Walking in God's ways brings life to our lives. And let's instinctively choose in the spiritual life to preserve life the same way we do in the physical sense. When we sin, we have opportunity to choose to walk in God's way. And just like our verses for today tell us that the person defiled by death must wash on the 3rd day and the 7th day, when we have opportunity to sin again in subsequent days, let's choose God's ways. Choose righteousness and life. In this way, we'll develop a lifestyle that brings life both to ourselves and to all those around us. L'chaim, to life.